everyone. Welcome back to the Charter Podcast brought to you by St. Xavier University. I am Ruthie Polinsky, and I am joined by 𝗂𝗏𝗏, 𝗪𝐿EX 𝐿𝐴PIRO on this St. Patrick's Day Monday. It is wonderful to see you both. I hope you all survived the weekend in downtown Chicago.
Yeah, I did not go downtown. I stayed right here in the comfort of my home. I've seen the Green River plenty of times. Did not make the trip to see the Green River this year.
Clay, I know you were out in the streets.
Yeah, I saw the Green River. I drank a little bit of green beer. So I'm recovered, though. You know, the hungover workout is one of my specialties. So got in the gym, steam room, sauna afterwards, some cardio, sweat it out. So I'm ready to go, ready to talk some Bears and a little bit of tournament talk here.
Yeah, interesting, Clay. Thanks for teeing me up there. You threw it up. I'm going to throw it down. We are going to have some fun today, guys. Well, this is a great idea by the two of you to sort of, in the spirit of March Madness and Selection Sunday, which happened yesterday, we have created our own bracket, and it is a draft bracket for the Chicago Bears. Free agency here starting to sort of quiet down a bit for the Bears, at least for now. So we're sort of turning our attention a little bit to the draft as we have more of a clear picture of what this Bears free agency has looked like. This is sort of a fun way to play a game of what should the Bears do at number 10 overall. Okay, so basically what we're going to do, fellas, is we've created a seating for the top 16 potential guys that could be there at number 10. And what we'll do is we will go through the bracket. You two will make your pick as to who you are picking for the winner of that matchup between the 1 seed and the 16 seed, the 8 seed and the 9 seed. We'll go through it as if it were a bracket, a March Madness bracket. And if there happens to be a disagreement, Ruthie Polinsky, will be the tiebreaker as to who the Bears will select at number 10 overall. We'll eventually get to a Final Four and then a champion. Obviously, we're just having fun with this, guys. There are so many variables and things that could happen. But assuming these guys are on the board at number 10, this is what we will play. This is the game we will play for now. Okay, so let's start with our first matchup. The seeding done eloquently and beautifully by 𝗪𝐿EX 𝗿𝗵𝗋. So only at him if you have issues with the seeding. Okay. We are going to start with our first matchup. The 1 seed, drum roll please, for the Bears at number 10 overall is Will Campbell, the offensive lineman out of LSU, facing the 16 seed, Malaki Starks, the safety out of Georgia. Alex, I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, Will Campbell, there's a lot of discussion about whether he is a tackle or whether he is a guard. But pretty much everyone agrees he's a very good football player no matter where you put him. Now, he is extremely confident that he can play tackle. And he basically said, we've mentioned it many times on this podcast. Go look at my tape. You will not find a play where you said he gave up a sack because of his short arms. No matter where the Bears view him, he brings a lot of effort, brings a lot of mean and nasty and things that, Bears are going to be looking for as tone setters on that line. Malaki Starks, great player. Some people are saying could be the Brian Branch of this class. And the Bears certainly could use some help at safety. But for me, when you're looking at team need, when you're looking at talent, to me, it's just the 1 seed advances. And the 1 seed is Will Campbell.
Absolutely. And I like Malaki Starks, but I think he may even have been pushed down to safety number 2 after the combine that Nick Emanuori had with his 42-inch vertical, 11-foot broad jump, 4.3 40 at as big as he was, 220 pounds. Incredible. But Malaki Starks, obviously, Georgia, he's one of the backbones of their championship defense, starting 40 of 41 games since he took over. He's a very consistent guy. He's going to be healthy. He's durable. But his combine performance really took him down in my book. Yeah, he did run the 4.5, but a 33-inch vertical, a 7.25 3-cone, and a 4.45 short shuttle for a safety is not good. So there's some questions about his athletic ability. I think the guy can play, but at 1, like Alex said, Ruthie will not have to come in here because I am definitely going Will Campbell. Yes, 32-inch arms, 7th percentile among offensive tackles, not good. 77-inch wingspan, the shortest of any tackle at the combine since 2010. That's straight up wingspan. So this guy is not only short arms, but there's not much mass to him. There's not much width to him either. But you look at his tape. The guy went 27 straight games in the SEC, playing SEC football without giving up a sack. He's a football player. He ran well. He was his top speed of over 20 miles an hour at the combine, 16.5 miles an hour in the first 10. He's explosive. He's fast. He's a guy that can play guard or tackle. Let's go, Will Campbell, baby. Already took a 30 visit to Halas Hall, so I think he's a possibility.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, let's go 2 seed, just to kind of keep this in order. I think we discussed pre-tape that we were going to do this differently. I think it makes more sense to tell everyone who our 2 seed is, like,
great.
4 different regions. We're going regions here.
Yeah.
All right, our 2 seed is, drum roll please, Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of the Big Ten champions in basketball. Thank you very much, the University of Michigan. And Mason Graham is facing the 15 seed. I'm going to butcher this name. 𝗏𝗏
𝗏𝗏
𝗏𝗏. I was pretty close.
Yeah,
pretty close.
Wide receiver out of Arizona. Clay, you get the first jab at this one.
I like 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗀. He's a big guy. He's big. He's a matchup problem. He's a guy that maybe reminds me a little bit of Drake London. He just ran his 40 at the Pro Day, did not compete at the NFL Combine, and they had him sub 4.5, a high 4.4. So his long speed was the question. So this guy is a playmaker. You look at his film, he's making one-handed catches. He's doing everything. He's a mismatch nightmare. But at wide receiver, I don't think the Bears can possibly go wide receiver. So in that case, I think we're going with Ruthie's favorite, and that is the Michigan Wolverines because she is a Michigan alumni. Mason Graham, 32-inch arms are a question. So that means some teams might pass on him. He's not the prototypical arm length. He's under 300 pounds, 296. Excuse me, the green beer. And they had him listed at 320 at Michigan. He comes in the combine, weighs 296, so he's light, short arms. But this guy can play football, man. This guy can straight up play football. He didn't compete at the combine, but he is super productive. He is stout. If he is there on the board, the Bears need to get this guy into Halas Hall. You know, he's smaller, so a bit compact, but he knows how to win. He's tough. He's got that wrestling background that Ruthie knows I love. I'm sorry, 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗀, you are a playmaker. I think you're going to have a good career, but we don't need you here in Chicago. We need D tackle. Bring me.
I thought you were going to go a whole segment without mentioning the wrestling background. I was like, oh my God, is Clay going to let me talk about the wrestling back? There's no way he missed that one. We know Clay loves guys with wrestling backgrounds, leverage, et cetera, et cetera. This is also a guy who is not just a pass rusher. I mean, really good against the run. Anchor of that Michigan Wolverines defensive line, motor. Basically, you look at him and it's like this. There's a whole lot to like, and maybe the measurables help the Bears a little bit. Slide him down, because if we had made this bracket 2 months ago, I don't think Mason Graham is on our bracket, right? But things move around, things change, and all of a sudden he started to slide down the, I guess, the bracket of public opinion, for lack of a better term. But watching Michigan football, this guy was a serious player. And bringing it back to McMillan, the wide receiver, very talented wide receiver. But he's another guy who plays primarily outside, right? And the Bears have their 2 outside wide receivers in DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. They added Zacchaeus, the slot guy. So it seems like you're kind of set. You're kind of set on the edges there. I don't know that McMillan is a huge need, even though he's a good player. So give me Mason Graham as well.
If the Bears take a wide receiver at number 10 overall, I'm going to quit my job. That's really where I'm at on that one. No, totally agree. Mason Graham all the way, guys. I would love to see him and Will Campbell make it to the Final Four and see if they have a matchup, because let's see what our panel would have to say about that. Okay, love it. Mason Graham advancing. Let's go to, drum roll please, we'll go to the 3 seed now, and we have Armand Membo, the offensive lineman from Mizzou, facing the 14 seed Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College, the defensive end. Alex Shapiro, you have the mic.
Okay, so this is where things start to get a little tough. 𝗵𝗶, huge riser at the combine, has moved up boards. And, a lot of these players, the question is tackle or guard. That's a question that's going to come up a ton. Kind of reading tea leaves and, reading stuff, hearing, listening. It seems like a lot of people think 𝗵𝗶 might be the best, like just legit tackle. Then you have 𝗦𝗏𝗏, who exploded onto the scene this year at Boston College, 16.5 sacks, 20.5 TFL. He is a little smaller, 247 pounds, but a consensus All-American and the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. I spoke to a lot of guys at Boston College. They love what he brings to practice. They love the energy. Big iron sharpening iron guy. 𝗦𝗏𝗏 𝗔𝗶𝗹 basically saying, like, I was so glad he was on our team because in practice, man, did we have some battles. We had some reps. And a heady player. But if I'm talking about the Bears' number 10 pick, and I look at the board, like I said, there's a lot of guys who could be tackles, could be guards. There's also a lot of pass rushers out there. From a positional availability standpoint, I think I give the nod to 𝗵𝗶 because you look on day 2, day 3, I'm not as wowed by the offensive tackles as I am more by the pass rushers.
I knew me and Alex were going to have some disagreements today, but this isn't one of them. Okay, I'm 100% with you. Sorry for that little tease right there that didn't really follow through, but you said it, man. This guy's 6'2", 248. What is Dennis Allen like? He likes big, long, athletic guys, and just 𝗦𝗏𝗏, I love his game. He's one of those guys that is just a technician. He's got great pass rush moves. He's not that athletic. You look at some of his scores. He didn't run a 40, but a 35-inch vertical, 9'11 broad jump. You watch his tape. He's just a technical, hard-nosed player, but he's not that wow, grade the flashes, that RAS, relative athletic score. That's not his deal. So I think that they will definitely go 𝗵𝗶 in this situation, crushed the combine, had a 9.71 40-yard dash at 332 pounds. That's insane. A 9'7" broad jump and a 34-inch vertical at 332 pounds. Absolutely incredible. 33-inch arm length. The guy was the second highest PFF graded tackle eligible, and he didn't allow a single sack or quarterback hit from 411 pass blocking snaps in 2024. One of the highest relative athletic scores since 1987. He's in the top 5. Freak athlete, long arms, big dude. Armand 𝗵𝗶, I would not be upset, and he's only 20 years old. I would not be upset if this was the Bears pick. I think he can play tackle. I'm going 𝗵𝗶 as well.
Love it. I think I would have done the same, fellas. So there you have it. All right. 4 seed facing 13 seed. Okay. 4 seed. Here we go. Drum roll.
Upsets here. This is an upset spot.
Here's a little bit of an upset situation. We're going to the 4 seed, Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of BYU, Heisman candidate. This is the man that has dominated the sports talk waves of Chicago for months now, okay? And we still have a little ways to go. Going up against the 13 seed of Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan.
Clay, you want to lead off this time?
Yeah, Clay, go ahead.
All right, yeah. To me, this isn't much of a matchup either. I like Johnson. Johnson has that stock to where his dad was a legacy over there at Michigan. I know Ruthie loves Michigan. His father, Deion Johnson. He's 6'2". He's a long guy. He can play zone. He can play man. He's an athletic cornerback. He didn't run because the hamstring at the combine couldn't do anything. So that complicates things a little bit, but I think it goes down to need. You look at the Bears, what do they need? They do need a running back. I think DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson are okay, second-tier backs, but if you have a chance to get Ashton Jeanty at 10, and obviously with him or Will Johnson, I think you got to go Jeanty because we know Ben Johnson loves 2 running backs. He was his offense was the only offense in NFL history to have 4 guys with over 1,000 all-purpose yards. Jeanty has great contact balance. Yes, he's 5'8", a little small. Did run in the 4.4s. The guy's quick. He's agile. I really like Jeanty. And if he's there at 10, wouldn't mind that at all either. So I'm going with Jeanty here.
Will Johnson is an interesting guy that we have not spoken a lot about because we know Matt Eberflus and John Hoke loved Tyrique Stevenson. Also really fond of Terrell Smith. But Tyrique Stevenson, went through his whole situation with looking the wrong way on the Hail Mary, has drawn penalties, has been burned. It's been a roller coaster with Tyrique Stevenson. We've seen the incredible playmaking, but we've also seen some of those valleys. What we don't know is what Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson think of Tyrique Stevenson, what they think of Terrell Smith. And we know Jalen Johnson's phenomenal, right? But it's always great. It's kind of like pass rushers. You can never have too many cornerbacks. Serious premium position. And Will Johnson is a big-time playmaker. Last year, 2 picks, and he returned them both for touchdowns. The year before, 4 picks, and one of them was a pick 6. And the year before that, another 3 interceptions. So he's a playmaker. Also, very good in coverage. Not just a playmaker, right? So that's a bit of an X factor. But I'm going to kick it back, and I'm once again agreeing with Clay Harbor. What do we know about Ben Johnson? Dude loves to run the football. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs just completely transformed that offense. Again, if this was a before, and we're looking at the Bears have a lot of needs elsewhere, it's maybe a different story. But right now, again, I've said this on previous podcasts, I'll say it again, I am more open to drafting Ashton Jeanty than I have been recently. So let's move Ashton Jeanty down the road.
Okay, love it. I like what you brought up, Alex, about Tyrique Stevenson and how the previous regime was like really high on him. And that's something that I think we just need to keep in mind as we get closer and closer to the draft. Maybe there are some picks, I'm not saying necessarily at number 10, but down the road where you're like, why would they draft at that position there when there's this person there or this person there? Like, we have no clue how Dennis Allen feels about some of these guys. I also think it's worth noting that Ben Johnson, from everything that he said publicly, is very high on 𝗦cie, as he calls him. So I think there's obviously they overlapped in Detroit, and we also don't really know how he feels about Roschon Johnson. But with that being said, like, if you're just following like best player available here, like an Ashton Jeanty's on the board, it's going to be really hard for, I think, Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, knowing what we know about them, depending on who else is there. But I think it's just going to be very hard for them to not take him and or trade down if they think maybe they could get some more picks later. It's just going to be really fascinating to see. I will also agree that I am coming around to the Ashton Jeanty at 10 idea because the Bears addressed the offensive line in free agency. That was so crucial. And we talked about it a ton, Clay, on the Big Pro Football Show. Like, you are going to have that flexibility to draft a player like Ashton Jeanty if you believe in him. If you address the offensive line in free agency, well, guess what? Check, 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 check. Actually, 3 checks for them for the 3 new offensive linemen, but very pleased with what they've done so far. And I think Ashton Jeanty would have a lot of success in Ben Johnson's system. So, which again, a lot of unknowns, but it's a good player. Ben's a good play caller. Let's see what they could do together. I'm coming around. All right, moving right along here, guys. Let's go to the 5 seed facing the 12 seed. Shemar Stewart is our 5 seed, the defensive end out of Texas A&M, going up against Tyler Booker, the Alabama guard. Alex Shapiro, start us off.
Okay. Shemar Stewart, just traits out the wazoo. Intriguing player. Causes a lot of disruption, but not a lot of production. This is a guy who also, had great moments at the Senior Bowl. And there were times where he was getting stood up at the Senior Bowl. Now, I know not everybody is going to win all the time, but when I dialed in, it was pretty 50-50 when he was winning, when he was losing. Which brings us to Tyler Booker, a big guard from Alabama, who I had the pleasure of going to the podium and talking with him a little bit at the Combine. And this guy is a leader, takes it extremely seriously. Captain at Alabama, basically said he took that in. He learned from the likes of, Jalen Milroe, other captains, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Turner. Am I getting these guys, the captains right at Alabama? But basically he learned a lot from a lot of these, Will Anderson, these captains at Alabama, and has taken that, morphed it into his own leadership style. And hearing him, like, he exudes that confidence. He exudes that presence. It's not the same energy as Grady Jarrett, but it has that same command as Grady Jarrett. And when you look at the Bears' interior offensive line, they've done a lot of good work. Joe Thuney instantly increases the profile at left guard, but he's a little older. Jonah Jackson, the Bears had no answer at right guard last year. They kept rotating guys. Instantly makes that position better. But he's missed a lot of time with injury. The Bears need backups. They need developmental players. So I, for the first time, am not going chalk. I'm going with the big guard who played in a big way as a captain at Alabama, rolled Tide. It's basically an NFL program. Give me Tyler Booker, my first upset of the year, 12/5.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Clay?
12-5 is a good upset spot here, Alex. I like where your head's at. I like Tyler Booker. I do. Massive human being, just a big boy. But you also look at his combine numbers. Very unathletic man, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. He's just a big mauler that's downhill. We're talking 7'10" broad jump. That's in the bottom 14th percentile of 5'4", 40, 9.61, 10 in a 27-inch vertical. I like Tyler Booker, but he needs to be in a power run scheme, in my opinion. And you see with Dahlman, Thuney, and Jonah Jackson, what these guys can all do. These guys can move. They can be versatile. And obviously Ben Johnson can play. He even said he will call plays for what our team, our offensive line can do. They'll do some down blocking, some pulls. But Tyler Booker is going to be in a power run scheme, in my opinion. Chargers, someone like Mekhi Becton, you go with him and Joe Alt. So I like Tyler Booker, but I just don't think he fits. You know who does fit? Shamar Stewart. The Bears just signed Dio Odengbo. Where's his production? 3 sacks last year, 8 the previous year, 17 quarterback hits. Big guy, traits, decent against the run, can line up along the defensive front, multiplicity, versatility, all the other things that end with an LTY, all of it. So Shamar Stewart, obviously we know his athletic ability, 6'5", almost 270, 4'5", 40, 40-inch vertical, almost an 11-foot broad jump. Unbelievable production, top 4 defenders in Pro Football Focus, run defense grade, very stout against the run. And I think the Bears with Dennis Allen can unlock some of this guy's potential. One of the most athletic edge rusher, according to Relative Athletic Score, since 1987. Second to none. Myles Garrett. I mean, whoever you want to put up there, he was the most athletic freak up and down at the Senior Bowl, but we did see the flashes. So I'm going to stick with the chalk here. And I'm going to go with Shamar Stewart. Ruthie, it's up to you.
Okay, here we go. And I have a question for you both. For Tyler Booker, this is someone that strictly plays guard, correct?
Guard
He will
only.
not be a tackle.
Not a
He's
tackle,
a
not a center.
Not an outside guy.
All right, I gotta rock with Shamar Stewart at number 10 overall. Tyler Booker drafting a guard, strictly guard at 10 overall is too high. I think it's also someone where you look at the Bears offensive line. They just went out and got Jonah Jackson, extended him, and also got Joe Thuney, and will likely be extending him for big money as well soon here too. You also don't forget, you have Ryan Bates on the roster at this very moment, who is kind of your maybe swing backup. He can play, anywhere along the interior of the offensive line. So I think you have depth there. If you're not developing your 10th overall pick into a tackle, it's just too high to take a tackle there. Shamar Stewart, I think we all see that we like the upside there. Obviously, the production is questionable, but the athleticism is exciting. And it's someone that could potentially be, influenced and helped out by these new additions to the defense in Dio Odengbo, Grady Jarrett, obviously Montez Sweat still there. There are people there that are going to help him find his strengths in the NFL. I'm going Shamar Stewart wins the matchup to advance into the Elite Eight. Okay, guys, we are making our way around here. So let's see here. All right, let's move on to this. All right, we're going to go back up to this top bracket, which is we have Will Campbell advancing between the 1 and the 16 seed. All right, so now we're going to find out who's the matchup along all 4 of them. We have the 8 and the 9 seed here facing Will Campbell. Okay, the winner of this will face Will Campbell in the Elite Eight. The 8 and the 9 seed, guys, we have the 8 seed. We have Michael Williams, the defensive lineman out of Georgia, going up against our 9 seed, James Pierce, who is the edge out of Auburn.
Tennessee, I think.
Tennessee.
All good. Another orange team in the Southeast.
Yeah, wait, why did I say that? James Pierce. Yeah, I don't know why I have that written down. Yep, Tennessee. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Problemo. Okay, so these guys are kind of similar, in terms of makeup, in terms of production, SEC, and I think they might get picked around the same time. I'm going Michael Williams, though, and I won't belabor the point. I think drafting Georgia Bulldogs is always a good idea. I think the Philadelphia Eagles showed when you draft a lot of Georgia Bulldogs on your defense, good things happen. So that is an extra point for me. And he just edges Pierce on the measurables. So James Pierce's arm length, 32 3/4 of an inch. Michael Williams, 34 3/8 inches. And then James Pierce, 245 pounds. Michael Williams, 260 pounds. Now you look at Michael Williams' numbers are a little lower. He hurt himself. And this is something that's been kind of making its way around. So clearly there's a narrative going out there that he hurt himself in week 1 and he played through it and that hampered him. And when he's healthy, he could put up better numbers. So my pick is Michael Williams, the 8 seed.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that pick. Tennessee's James Pierce, he ran that 4.47, turned a lot of heads, 6'5", 245, a little light. There's a lot of stuff floating around about his personality and off the field, how he's going to be as a guy. Then you look at Michael Williams, like Alex said there, he's a guy, he's big, 6'5", 265, he's got that reach. And if you just watch that SEC championship game when he had 2 sacks and 5 quarterback pressures, his versatility was just on full display. He could play 3 technique. He could play a 4-eye. He could stand up edge just with his versatility. I'm going to go with Alex just off of that and go with Michael Williams. Even though I do like James Pierce as a player, pure pass rusher, running a 4.4, like the guy's got some talent and ability, but I think Michael Williams would just fit this Bears mold a little bit more.
Okay. Love it. Moving right along here, 7 and 10 seed will face Mason Graham in the Elite 8. Our 7 seed is Kelvin Banks, the tackle out of Texas. The 10 seed, we have Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. Let's start with our tight end, Clay Harbor, on this one.
This is a tough one.
This is tough. This is our toughest yet, maybe.
I love Kelvin Banks, man. I think he's a good player. He's a guy that he's athletic. He did struggle a little bit when I talked about that national championship game with Michael Williams. A lot of that was at the expense of Kelvin Banks, but he has shown that he's a player. He could probably play some guard, but he's a tackle right now. I like him a lot. But Tyler Warren, I've opened my eyes to him after you've seen the remake of this offense and defensive line, because that would just make you so much more multiple. And, Ben Johnson loves that. He ran more 2 tight end sets than anybody in football last year. Guy loves having 2 good tight ends. We got Durham Smythe, Ruthie's boy. She loved him when she covered him in Miami. But I'm going to go with the tight end here. And I've been kind of against this. But this guy is a blocker. He can run. He can catch. If you watch his tape, he can do everything. And I'm just intrigued by what Ben Johnson could come up with. Because usually you'll see 2 tight ends, one's a blocker, one's a pass catcher. If you have Cole Kmet and Tyler Warren, these guys can both do both things. You could have 2 extensions of the tackle, then you can split both these guys out. You can put them outside. You could do so much with these guys. They both can catch. So I'm going tight end just because I think that Ben Johnson's creativity could really figure out a way to use both of them.
Alex?
This is kind of wild. 7-10. I agree with you. Kelvin Banks, right? Good player. His numbers are solid. Here, I just had them pulled up. Let me pull them up again. But I believe only gave up 1 sack on the season. I'm sorry, this is receiving. Why are we looking at Kelvin Banks' receiving numbers? Yeah, 1 sack on the season, 2 hits, 7 hurries. He was extremely efficient. And he's a guy who got better and better and better every year. And he's a guy who played left tackle, left tackle, left tackle.
42 games in a row at left tackle.
So that is really, really important. Tyler Warren, though, like special. Is he going to be the next Brock Bowers? That's hard to put on a guy, but you saw what Brock Bowers could do for the Raiders. And again, like I probably shouldn't draw that comparison, but you kind of said it. This is a guy who is a solid run blocker, is a solid pass blocker, is a really good pass catcher. He's got like the good radius. He kind of does everything well. It really is maybe the toughest one since we have, and I'm going to maybe like cheat and go outside the law here. Since we already have Will Campbell advancing though.
No, you don't get to, no.
I don't get to do that?
That's not part of your reasoning.
I'm so torn. I'm so torn because I think Kelvin Banks is a really nice player. And again, like the fact that he's tackle sounds so good. But Tyler Warren, something about it is just incredibly intriguing. What could Ben Johnson cook up with the two of them? Let's do it. Let's have an upset. It's our first upset. We also need an upset on the board. So Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State.
I would not do this here, guys. I appreciate this. I do understand the 𝗂𝗏 situation as a Band-Aid. You want to develop someone under 𝗂liche𝗶𝗹. But if Kelvin Banks is on the board and this is someone that could be your left tackle of the future and compete with Braxton Jones for the starting left tackle role, like what are you doing? You guys are literally Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham sitting in front of me, like getting tempted by Rome Odunze on the board. Like this is like not really where they need help right now. Like 𝗂liche𝗶𝗹 is great. 𝗂𝗏 is going to be productive this year. He's someone who's very effective, still has some gas left in the tank, and they'll probably add another. But 𝗂liche𝗶𝗃 and 𝗂𝗏, those are your two tight ends right now. Like I understand the Tyler Warren intrigue and excitement, but 𝗂liche𝗶𝗃's your tight end of the future. Like this guy's going to be here, and Kelvin Banks is someone that can help you, maybe help you right away. Like not saying that Tyler Warren wouldn't, but the two of you just drooling for the skill position. I can't even talk to you.
I feel like my mom just like caught me like doing something bad. I don't know. Like Ruthie's just calling us out here, and I'm like kind of like, yeah, you know,
exactly. I'm just sitting there like guilty as charged. You're absolutely right.
But you know, I'm sorry. It happens.
Listen,
but
all right.
The heart wants what it wants.
Yeah,
the heart wants what it wants. All right, but I don't get to say it's 2 against 1. So there it is. All right. So Tyler Warren advances despite mom's wishes. Okay, yeah. Tyler Warren to the Elite Eight will face Mason Graham. Mason Graham in the Elite Eight. Okay, last one, guys. Our 6 and 11 seed will face 𝗏 𝗏 in the Elite Eight. So let me just check here. 6 and 11. All right, Clay, this is your guy. We got Mike Green, the defensive end out of Marshall. He's our 6 seed. And then going up against the 11 seed, Josh Simmons, the tackle from San Diego State.
Who's starting here? At me?
Clay.
Right. Ohio State. You got the right colors.
Ohio State. What am I doing? Why did I have San Diego State?
It's March Madness, Ruthie. I don't know. It's the madness.
We'll blame it on the madness. He's the Ohio State tackle.
Josh Simmons. I'm like, I feel like my thing got all messed up here. I'm so sorry, guys. Ohio State.
No, Josh Simmons, just to speak on him, before his injury, he might have been my tackle number 1. This guy has great movement skills. He's good in the run game. He's good against the pass. He's got good length. He's athletic. He's smart.
He started his career at San Diego State. Just for the record,
that's where Ruthie got it from.
Exactly.
He's a transfer.
My apologies. Transfer.
Patella tendon is a tough injury. It's not a typical ACL. It's not a meniscus. It's a tough injury, and that's what scares me away. Then we got Mike Green, who to me, I mean, Ruthie knows I've been all over this guy, talking about this guy. And I know he's got the off the field stuff, which is scary because, you know, the Bears don't like bringing anybody into their building that they're not certain of. But if they do their homework and they think that Mike Green is a guy that they can trust and then that fits the build of a Chicago Bear, watching him on film, to me, he's not that far off of Abdul Carter. I couldn't be more impressed with the guy. Extremely good against the run, extremely good against the pass, showed up at the Senior Bowl. Freak athlete. I don't know if he did his pro day yet, but he didn't compete at the combine. But when his pro day comes around, he's going to blow that up. This guy could be a bookend pass rusher, 10-plus sacks in the NFL incredible athlete, came in as a wide receiver, moved to linebacker, moved to defensive end. I'm going Mike Green. I know, Ruthie, I got to eat my vegetables. I got to go with the trenches and the left tackle. But an edge rusher too, that's tough to find in this league. And I think Mike Green is that good. Watching him as I watch as a tight end, that's how I watch my film. Looking at this guy, I'm like, I don't want to block him. This guy's got too many moves. He's super athletic. He's so quick off the ball. He's just a bulldog and mean every play to the whistle. Going Mike Green.
Yeah, I love Mike Green just about as much as 𝗂𝗏𝗏. He's got the crazy traits, that we got done talking about with Shemar Stewart. And then he's also turned that into production. And I know it happened at Marshall, but, he's still going against players. And it's not just against, poor teams. He's had production against better teams as well. And he's got the pass rush set, right? The one highlight that everybody sees is him just bull rushing Josh Connerly into next Tuesday, right? But it's not just the bull rush. He's got the toolkit. That said, Josh Simmons, if the medicals are clear, and you said it, Clay, could have been OT1. Could have been OT1. And this guy is another one where he's a left tackle. It's not like, is he a tackle? Is he a guard? You put him out there at left tackle, it's probably going to be solid. So we have the question mark with Mike Green about the off field. He transferred away from Virginia, had some allegations that I believe were ultimately dropped. But he reset, went to Marshall, right? And got out in front of it. You have the question mark with Josh Simmons about the medicals. If the medicals from the combine check out and the knee is okay, this guy could be an absolute steal at 10, absolute steal. So for that reason, I'm kicking it to Ruthie Polinsky to break the tie. Yeah. I'm going with the big time left tackle, Josh Simmons.
Listen, this is tough. And I think the Mike Green off the field allegations is definitely worthy of pause because those are allegations you can't take lightly. However, we talked about this with Jalen Carter when Jalen Carter was coming out of the draft, when he was coming into the draft. And I think he was put in a perfect place to be able to overcome perhaps some character flaws or concerns. I think having someone like a Grady Jarrett in that locker room would be so beneficial and so it feels like the situation that Mike Green would be walking into is so much more solid simply because of Grady Jarrett and some of the other guys that are still there. You got the Big Bill, you got the Jervon Dexter who's working his tail off, first guy in, last one out every day. I think there's a really good sort of foundation, better than what we saw when Jalen Carter was coming out of the draft and than what we have here, which makes me feel better about the Mike Green situation. Again, I don't think you can ever have too many offensive linemen. And I think if Josh Simmons is someone that the Bears believe in, the medicals are clear, that's a position that, there's a lot of question marks there for Braxton Jones still. And it would be nice to have someone come in and compete for that starting job if you can get someone that high. So what's my answer? I don't know. I think obviously Mike Green, I know what I'm going to do here. As much as it pains me, I think Mike Green at Marshall, those numbers jump off the screen at you, right? But you were at Marshall. So your level of competition, I think, gives you a little bit reason to pause. Whereas Josh Simmons, you were at Ohio State, like doing the thing, and really up against, some of the best competition in the country. So I think as much as it pains me to pick a Buckeye, I will be going Josh Simmons at tackle there. Although it is close. It is close.
Buzzer beater.
That was a buzzer beater. It was, Mike Green deserves to be there. He fought his ass off, but Josh Simmons will be advancing to the Elite Eight, guys.
Okay, so our Elite... the book on Mike Green, because I do want to quickly close it, because I said I believe the allegations were dropped. I went and double checked because I had written that down kind of quickly. According to The Athletic, the police involved said the investigation has been suspended. Mike Green was emphatic that he did nothing wrong. He said he's never been questioned in regard to these sexual assault allegations. So that's the one thing. Investigation suspended. He's never been questioned. The other side, yes, he played at Marshall, but again, like I said, played pretty well against good teams. 2 sacks against Virginia Tech, 1 sack against Ohio State. Those are real teams that he's still producing against.
No, for sure. And I hear you on that. I think the allegations are the way that he's handled sort of getting out in front of it and addressing them and being very like upfront and speaking to the media, you know, at the combine and going about his business. It does feel like there's, you know, it's someone that you want to have with his skill and maybe, you know, learn more about what's actually happening there with behind the scenes. All right, fellas. So our Elite Eight is set. I will run through it all. Ready? We have Will Campbell going up against Michael Williams. Okay. We have Shamar Stewart going up against Ashton Genty. We have Mason Graham going up against Tyler Warren. And we have Mike Green. I'm sorry. We have Josh Simmons. As much as it hurts. We have Josh Simmons going up against Armand Membo. Okay. So on our next episode, we will get through the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and take you to the national champion of who the Bears will select at number 10 overall. Based on our really, this is how I did that. So I just would like for our viewers to see if
I like that. Artistic. You're artistic.
Yeah, on my Bears notepad, right? That's great. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for listening to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. But the Big Pro Football Show will be coming your way every day this week. We're playing another similar March Madness situation on the Big Pro Football Show this week. That's not necessarily about the draft, but it is about the Bears offseason. So make sure you tune into that. We're starting it today, but Clay, it's going to roll on throughout the course of the week. So you'll be a part of it on Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's going to be just a great week of content for the Chicago Sports Network. So thank you so much for listening to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. For Clay Harbor, Alex Shapiro, I'm Ruthie Polinsky. We'll see you later this week with our Elite Eight, Final Four, and National Champion. Have a great week, everyone.